Imagine a world where consciousness shapes reality. In the Quantum Living New Earth podcast, we dive deep into the intersection of science and spirituality. We explore how quantum physics reveals the interconnectedness of all beings, showing us that our thoughts and intentions can literally alter our experiences. Each episode unpacks transformative ideas, from the power of meditation to the role of energy in healing. We challenge conventional beliefs and invite you to embrace a new paradigm where you can manifest your dreams and contribute to a collective awakening. Join us on this journey to elevate your consciousness and create a vibrant new earth together.
Hello, Allison.
Hello.
How are
Good.
you?
Good. Happy late Thanksgiving.
Yes,
We just
so we are meeting at the Quantum Living New Earth podcast here with Allison Skinner and Monica Anderson, and we're meeting today at the day after Thanksgiving here in the States. So it is what? I don't even know the date. November something. November
29th.
29th. November
Yes.
29th of 2024. And we just finished Thanksgiving. My Thanksgiving was quiet, just my family, my husband and son, my adult son, and my 6-year-old. And it was just a quiet Thanksgiving, but it was nice.
Nice.
But
That's good. Yeah.
how about you?
Good.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it's good. Well, I had worked the night before and then Matt worked, but then we went out to dinner with his family instead of doing the traditional, because nobody wanted to cook. So we embraced that and went somewhere else, which was it was good. It was good. I mean, I always enjoy the food. Probably been better if we'd done it at home, but it was good. It's good to see
Yeah.
everybody, but have it be in a different nobody was stressed about having to host or having them at your house. So there was good in it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah. And
We had a
that,
good time.
that brings us to what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about, because that stress of hosting people at your house, whether it be for Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever, you have this idea of how things are supposed to be, and you get all stressed out trying to create this.
Right. And again, what else are we into? Like, this is what kicks off the American retail season, Black
Yes.
Friday. And then we're kind of going counter-cultural of not buying into that. So that's a big thing. I know we had both talked before about, we used to live for that. I mean,
Black Friday. Black Friday. Isn't it
shopping.
Black Friday today?
It is. Yeah. Today is
Oh,
Black
so that's perfect that our topic is, are you being, or do you want to be, going into 2025, a consumer or a creator? What are you
Right.
choosing? With every single choice that we have, what are we choosing to do? We're choosing to consume, or we're choosing to create.
Okay.
I've noticed that since I've chosen to create, that I have lots of opportunities during my day to choose consumption.
Yeah. It's very much so. It's interesting how it will, or even like whether it's your attitude, I think too, with the things that present, and it gives you an opportunity of, choosing a different choice, like
And
you said.
slowing down. I'm noticing that the pace that you go into things, the mindset that you go into with things, is that it creates, and I even say it in the way I speak, it creates creation by slowing down. And I'm always talking about the coffee cup thing. If you coach with me, if you work with me, I always bring this up because this is something that this was an upgrade that I discovered. I drank coffee every single day, and it was just like, you have a million coffee cups, right? How many coffee cups do we have? How many
Right.
Stanley mugs do you ladies have?
Right. It's
I know
true.
that's
Like,
a big
people
thing.
a lot. It's a thing. I know. I work with
It
a lot of
is
people.
a thing. And see, Allison's got her Stanley mug, but they are
I
nice.
only have one thing. This
Oh,
isn't
she just has
Stanley though.
one.
Yeah, yeah. As I say, I don't have 15 of them, and it's a different brand because I refuse to join the cult.
She
Stanley,
refused
so
to be part of the
that
mainstream.
right.
zombie drone. But
Right.
okay, so let's just talk about these different ways that consuming, as I'm looking at all these rainbows that are cast all over my office. I love it.
Mhm.
It's like different ideas, different ways that consumption is insidious. It's in everything.
Mm.
So when I
Well,
went and purchased my house, or went to look at this house, um, and my current husband is a consumer.
mhm.
Okay, he loves to consume, and he got caught up. He's caught up in that. So it's like a big house, a big car, a big everything, but
Right.
you're consuming. It's fake. It's fake.
Mhm.
But you're not consuming the real true, the real. You're not taking time to consume the listening of the birds chirping outside. It's like, oh,
Mm.
I
And
gotta like run
that's
around.
different mindset,
Yeah,
right?
it's
You're
a
not seeing.
different mindset of like, what are you
Mm.
consuming? So when I went and toured this house, the lady that owned the house, she was proud of this coffee station that she had created. Well, I'm from
Mm.
Seattle, so if you talk about coffee
Right.
stations and you're proud of it, I want to see it because I mean, I know about coffee. And I've been drinking espresso since I was 10 years old because we lived in Europe for 3 years when I was
Mhm.
a child. And I started drinking espresso since I've been 10. So I was excited to go over and see. She pulls out her drawer, opens up her drawer, and she pulls out that, or she shows me she has hundreds of these cozies
Well,
called, well, I thought they were coffee cozies for her lattes.
mhm.
Like they're these sleeves that you put on your
Okay.
cup so that you don't burn your hand.
Yeah.
Oops, no, Monica, these are my beer cozies.
Well,
I collect beer cozies, but I keep them where my coffee goes because, well, that's what it's for, is those little sleeves.
mhm.
But yeah, so I was of the mindset that she just collected, and I said, "Oh my gosh, you and I are so much alike." Because I was thinking the whole time she's talking about coffee.
Yeah. And she's
And
like, no.
she's like thought that I was weird that I said that, and then now I know why. But it's like her big thing and her strife for life was collecting these cozies for beer.
Right, right. Oh, I think,
And
yeah,
she
like
had
those things,
people,
those sleeves, right?
yeah, she had people over the house. This house was created so that it had room for a pool table,
Mm-hmm.
kitchen in the middle of the kitchen. She's like, I
Wild.
don't cook. I just put out trays of food in her cozies.
Wow, interesting. Yeah.
And she was like, it was a full on conversation. And I am not like, I don't know what to do with that.
Mm,
Because that's what's going on still, right? This was what, 3, 4 years ago.
right.
People want to talk about their beer cozies. People want to talk about their Stanley mugs.
Or think about that. I think Stanley mugs are the Thai beanie babies of today. Do you know? Remember those beanie babies that everybody went crazy with? I mean, I don't know if anybody's younger, they probably don't remember that, but look it up. Your grandma or even your mom. I remember that even like Matt, like his mom, they would wait in line for hours to get these because they thought they were going to be worth so much money.
Yeah.
Well, if you go on eBay right now, they're not really worth anything. But they sold them collectively into this frenzy, and people
They
bought them and then
created this.
mm-hmm.
See,
And it
they're
was,
using creation. They know
they
how it
created
works.
it and then they used it on, yeah, exactly. And if we stay asleep, we won't see that. We can do the same thing without feeding our energy into that. That's if we all are caught up in the consumerism, we're not going to use our own power or creativity to create something organic that would change, the planet, change our
Yeah.
own frequency, change the, trajectory of our own lives collectively. We would just continue to consume,
So what
buy the
are
new.
some things, because so many people that have podcasts or do shows, they're always saying, yeah, you guys need to you need to be a creator, you need to do this, you need to do
Yeah. So
that,
what
or
is
this
that?
is going to happen. Okay, what is it? What practically, because there is this in between, there's kind of this evolution of consciousness and this space in between one level of consciousness and another level of consciousness. And it's like, well, yeah, I see what you're saying, and I don't want to be a consumer, but
What do you
what do
do?
I
Right.
do? Because I've got this person saying this person saying that, and then I feel like I want to do this. Okay. So we've got to figure out how to exist, still holding our light at the highest level, but slowly stair stepping out of kind of that old way. So that becomes where it gets a little bit tricky. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
these last few days, it's a highlight of how separated I am from everybody, because, and
Mm-hmm.
all the people that are supposedly so inclusive are the ones that don't include me and don't speak to me because
Interesting.
I don't think like them, because I'm saying that I don't want to shop anymore and that I don't want to sit around and talk about the housewives or talk about going to Target, my Target hauls. That actually
Right. Right.
makes me physically ill.
Right. And I think again, like that's just because you're so much not in that, consumer and being aware of that, I think too. And I think first step for choosing out of that is just being aware. I think not even judging yourself like in that, because we've all been there, in that consumer vibe. So like even being aware, I think could be a first step, of, and then being like, what, I think it's like one thing of like not living an examined life, right? Not being able to be conscious of my choices, every day, like
Or like
when
why
I
you're
do,
doing something.
why are you doing what you're doing? That would be, I think, a good first step, and then that's something of, even being aware of, what, when you go to Target, if you are still going to Target, like what is your mindset when you go in there? You know what I mean? Like, and are you going to get caught up in you looking at the dollar bin and, elbowing the lady next to you to get, whatever, that is
So bad.
versus, you know what I mean? Like people are wild,
And
when
think
you go.
about Christmas time. How many of you guys actually remember
Mm-hmm.
anything that you were given last Christmas, 2023?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Right.
How much time have you spent? I mean, I used to have gift wrap. So what I did when I was like this mom with these other moms, and I wanted to get everybody together to spend time together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, let's do a gift wrapping party.
Right. Right.
And everybody bring their gift wrap so we could all share, and have
Mm-hmm.
different wrapping paper, because, we're talking about, for all of you younger moms that are listening, we're talking about like in the 90s, early 2000s.
Right.
I was 25 years old
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And it was like my husband's working traditional thing, and I'm trying to figure out how to make this nice. And, wrapping paper is expensive and all this stuff. And so so we planned these parties, and my friend and we did this, but they didn't want each other to judge or see what they were purchasing.
Interesting.
So people didn't come, or if they did come to my party, which people came, but uh, people wouldn't come hardly for
There's not a
wrapping
good
because they
feel.
didn't want to see. They thought,
Right.
because it was all like, or they were embarrassed because they were only purchasing so many items for their kids or whatever it was.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's
And I
interesting.
wasn't even, and because the way I come up, I don't know how to say it. The way I come off, people look at me and think that I have it all together,
Mm-hmm.
that I am judging them on their material items. Because it doesn't matter. Even when I was a child, my family didn't have money.
Mm-hmm.
I you would think that I was like had a professional designer in our
Right.
house, because
Right.
my bedroom, I designed my bedroom. I always had money. I always figured out a way to get what I wanted by creating
Mm-hmm.
it. But this whole thing, it was so weird. It's like everything, so we didn't get together and everybody kept in their separate houses and suffered basically because they weren't consuming enough, that they thought that we were going to judge, that I would judge them,
Right.
or that, or maybe I'm not saying they thought it was me.
Right. But
It
no,
was, that was
it's
the
true.
general thing when I'm like, why is anyone coming? Or the comments that people made, like, oh, well, I don't have anything to wrap, or I don't have any, or, whatever it was. And it was just like, okay, I just wanted to everyone to get together and have that whole,
Right. And there was so much
where
more
we're just,
underneath.
we have to
Yeah.
get together and actually be in the same space to create that
Right.
magic that happens. That's why you
Mhm.
and I, like, that's why we started this podcast, because we just start talking and it's like, this is magic. We want people to hear this. We
Right.
love this for our own souls. It fills our own souls up. And you're not buying, it's not, we're not buying stuff. We're not talking about where we're, like, I was watching TikTok and this gal, the 20 somethings, I don't know how old they are, but the younger wives, they're all going to Target and just showing all the stuff they're buying
Mm-hmm.
for a TikTok commercial, a TikTok,
Right.
it is a
Promotion type.
commercial.
Yeah.
And they don't need, and these women are overweight. They're, you know what I mean? They're inflamed. They've got their 20-ounce Venti, this, that, or
Right.
other, all their whipped cream, all this, and then they're complaining about their husbands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because our husbands are mad because, they make those comments in the videos like, oh, well, I'm not going to tell Jared about this, or whatever, how they say all this stuff. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
once you get home and put all that stuff away,
Right. Well, it's just
then you got
continuing to
to start it over
perpetuate that.
again.
Well, it just perpetuates that. Well, it, again, like you said, like it kind of baits people into that mindset that they should do the same thing, or that that's normal to be one hiding things, or that they have to be consuming, more. And then also just going back to what you're talking about, how interesting it was that you had people that didn't want to come and spend time or, share that because they were worried about judging each other, based on how many gifts they got for their kids. Like, it just seems like it's,
Yeah, and I was trying to use something that people were doing already.
or
Fine,
even
you guys
like,
are consuming. Let's get together and wrap together because we'd spend five, however long you spent wrapping.
right. So you thought it'd be fast. You just think it was like kind of a, well, it's like also now, like the new thing with that too is kind of like that's kind of morphed into when people post their Christmas Eve, when, or Christmas morning, like all the things under their tree. Do you know what I mean? Like that whole thing of,
That's just gross.
and, it's just it's been, just kind of even being in less of that mindset for things. It's been kind of interesting to watch when you're not it's so much freedom in it when you're not wanting to be, you're not part of that machine. Do you know what I mean? It's like a hungry animal. Do you know what I mean? That can never be fed. It's going to continue to want, to be consumed, because there's always going to be somebody with more or, better things or this or that. And it's not who, what are you trying to win?
Well,
That's
and it's not even about being better. It's just being different. It's
different.
just
Yeah.
a different, I mean, so I took out some decorations, like fall decorations and Christmas ones, of just simple things that we could put out. I didn't want to do a whole big thing. But, in the past, like I would take out the tree and it's like I would have a tree that I'm like, no, this one has to be decorated. Like I have these really fancy ornaments and I would do themes every year and all this. And it's like we would have a tree that I'm like, you guys can do whatever with it. Then I have my tree and I'd cause all this stuff. Well, it's like yesterday we pulled out one of our smaller, we have like 6 trees. So I pulled out just
Mhm.
one tree and then gave Natalie a box of ornaments and she
And
wanted
said, go
to
to town.
decorate and she just decorated it. Like I was doing my thing and I don't care. Like I don't care. Like she loves it instead of having this memory.
Of you getting mad about it or having that. Yeah.
Yeah, or
It's just
being
more,
like, I have to have the tree out. I have to have this because this is tradition. This is how we've always done it.
yeah. So
Everything is
that's how it has
changing.
to be done. Yeah. Yeah.
As you change the what you're doing in your homes change.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that women, and that's really like, I want to, as much as I like, because I do coaching for everybody and all of my frequency scans and all that stuff that we do, it's for, it doesn't matter who it is, but really I love to focus on women because I know women are stuck in this thing right now where they're figuring out like they're supposed to be getting gifts and they're supposed to be doing all this planning.
Right.
But what do you really want to do?
Right. Do you want to be out in that? Or are you finding fulfillment through that? What I guess would it be almost like you talked about like a consumerism, like that's, the angry animal that just wants to be fed. That's
Well, yeah, doesn't it?
what
It's like, okay, you know how I got that couch, that blue couch,
mm-hmm.
the blue velvet. So I bought this blue velvet couch and I had held out. Well, I had bought one in between, just because I needed space. And I bought a cheap one
Mm-hmm.
that you could just move around with your finger. And then it got ruined. And I've been looking for a green velvet couch to replace. There's that red cardinal out there. But I was looking for this green velvet couch we had one as a kid, but I got this blue velvet couch while I was looking for this green velvet couch.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. And I didn't have to say, like, am I just consuming, like just getting it to get it? Because, I'd put
Right. Just
all
to
this
get it.
thought into it
Yeah.
and I had the universe attracting to me. Well, you know how I found that green velvet couch right after I purchased the blue one? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that green one would be perfect in the house, but I just got the blue one but I really want that green couch. So last
Mm-hmm.
night I was telling my son about it because he's in the market for a couch
Mm-hmm.
and he's trying to find the perfect couch, but he doesn't want to spend a bunch of money on it. And I was like, oh, there's this couch, it's like from the 40s, it's super heavy, it's so nice. And I go, they've marked it down. She marked it down again because she was trying to sell it for $650 and it was marked down to $500. And I was like, oh, I'm like, you should buy this couch. So I showed it to him at dinner and he's like, well, I don't love it. And it's not a couch that you just sit on every day.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's really, it's big and sturdy, but you wouldn't just plop, he's 6'9".
Right. It's like a
Yeah.
decorative thing.
And so Derek's like, well, let me see the couch. And I said, yeah, I cannot believe that this couch is like $500. And Derek's like, well, I wonder if she would take $400 for it. And I said, I don't know. I'm not in that mindset of
Right.
doing this. So I said, and Derek's like, well, where would you put it? This was all last night we were doing this. He's like, well, did you want to put it? And I said, well, there's two spots that I can see, but I need to measure it. And so we measured it, but then he started asking me all these questions about it.
Hmm.
And I don't, like, I'm creating it in my mind, right? Like I've created it. I want this green velvet couch. It'll come.
Right.
I don't know how. And then now Derek's like asking me all these questions. You know what I'm saying? Like it just creates this frustration. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. So then I just let it go because I started getting kind
Mm-hmm.
of frustrated because we're talking about consuming now, right?
You're like getting all, yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Back in.
well, because all he's talking about, he's like, well, if we could get it for $400, where would you want to put it? All of a sudden now it became about what, because I showed him it when it was $650.
Hmm.
I sent it to him. So it's been going on for 3-4
Right.
weeks.
For a while.
Yeah. And he didn't want to spend it and he didn't feel my frequency about
Excitement
it,
about it.
but I
Right. Yeah.
really wanted it. And then I kept on, like, I had shown him this couch yesterday at the table was my third or fourth time talking
Mm.
about this sofa. And I had already been like, oh my gosh, it's just there's no I don't have a place for it right now. And I go, but this would be a couch that I would leave in this house, because that's kind of like what I'm doing is the house is furnished with stuff for this house. Well, this morning, so I told Derek yesterday, I said, I don't know. I'm creating this house, or I'm creating my space, and I want a green velvet couch. And I finally found one, and it's perfect. And I showed it to you. And if you didn't want it or you didn't make it happen, then I was okay with it. That's what
Right.
I'm really getting at, Allison, is like,
Right. Right.
how, just like how you're
Right.
saying yesterday with that money coming out of your account.
Right.
Okay, I mean, that's not
Yeah. What are
really
you gonna
what
do?
I
Right.
think I wanted, but okay, that's just, we're going with the flow, right?
Right.
We're
Just
going
kind
with
of
the
live in
flow.
that
So
space.
Derek comes up to me before I'm about to get on here, and he goes, well, I'm heading out. I'm going to get that couch. And I was like, what? He
Oh, he
goes,
went to go
yeah.
get it.
He goes, I'm picking up Daniel and we're going to go get it. I was able to get it for $400.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
like, okay. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, the universe told me that I was going to find this green couch, and I was going to all this stuff, and it was going to get here, because I was like, well, there's no way. When I was looking at this couch, it's in
Mhm.
Landrum, and it's about an hour
Right.
from here, and it's really heavy. And the woman had surgery, so she's like, you need two people. And like, when I started going in to dealing
Right.
with the consumption of this,
Right. Gave too much. Right.
I
It's, yeah.
couldn't deal with it. It paralyzed me. It paralyzed me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay,
Right.
I'm sending you. The whole reason I'm telling you guys about this is to give you like a granular example of how this threads through our life,
Hmm.
and how you manifest things with ease when, like you said, Allison, you give up the attachment of how it's supposed to happen, or when it's supposed to happen, or
What it
if
looks
it's
like.
supposed to
Yeah.
happen. You created it, it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. Just putting it, and
When
it's
I
again like not.
envisioned giant amethyst crystals in my
Hmm.
house, purple crystals, if you would have said, okay, you're gonna be moving your entire house to South Carolina, and you're gonna walk into
Right.
a crystal shop with people who have no awareness of the market of crystals,
And just give you, yeah, there you go. Yeah. It's,
like, and that's how it is. It's like, I would have never thought that Derek would. And I sent him the frequency of that couch, even though I just bought the blue one. And I told him, I'm like, oh, I just
nice.
bought this blue one, but the green one I wouldn't even have put that green one in here. We did actually measure to see if it would have worked.
Hmm.
Um, and once you see it, you're going to be like, wow. But it does fit in the foyer out here, which I wanted something. I've been wanting something there, so it's more of like you could sit in there. And but it's just crazy. At first, he didn't want to do it, but once he felt just like if you make a TikTok video, I don't know why my phone's going
Right.
on. Do you hear it? Sorry,
Yeah.
everybody.
It's like big.
So I'm just
Yeah.
so popular. Well, there is.
Right.
I mean, I am. I'm just kidding.
Hmm.
I don't know why. There's all these messages. Oh, speaking of the couch, it's Nat sending me. Look at, she sent me all this
Oh, that's, oh, geez.
emojis.
Is she playing a game? Is that what that is? Oh my gosh. It's
She's
Natalie sending.
just playing with the phone. Oh, she must be
Oh,
mad. Look at how mad. Look at
oh
her.
my gosh. Oh my goodness. Look at her sending you all those things.
Yeah, because she wanted to go with him. She wanted to go with
Oh,
him. And I'm like, you're going to be bored. And she goes, yeah, but you're going to be busy talking to the people.
people talking to the people. That's cute. You're
Yeah,
talking to the people.
I'm curious to see what this couch will look like.
Right. That's pretty exciting though. Like that's the essence of it though, is like not having that attachment to, it's like, you wanted, you create something. It's not even necessarily like about like whether it's a couch or whether it's a different outcome, to something else that's again of like somehow you were talking about earlier about just staying in the present moment, of knowing that we are powerful in being who we are, in the moment, and that we don't have to know what the outcome's going to be tomorrow or even in a few hours, those things, because the only true thing that exists, right, is right now.
Here's
Oh,
the
it's
couch.
pretty. Oh, it's pretty.
You see.
Oh yeah, there it is. That is pretty. Oh, it's a nice
That's
big
nice.
thing. You could lay on there and eat grapes, right? It's like one of those.
Yeah, it's like 8 feet long. Look how long it is.
Oh, I like it. That's like cool.
It's super
That's
wood.
pretty
It's
cool.
super wooden. It's solid wood,
Yeah, I was gonna say
mahogany.
that looks heavy. Like you could definitely.
Yeah, she said
Yeah,
it's super heavy, and so, but for
it's cute.
$400,
That's a good deal. Yeah. Wow.
yeah. And that's exactly it of what you're saying is just that we are creating by putting out there what we are seeing and feeling in our imagination and just putting it out there and not, what about this? What about as women? Now we're talking about in the context, even though the husbands are listening, we love it. But
Mhm.
as a woman, you're constantly shaping and lessening who you are and what you want to create based on what people around you feel like that they want to consume.
And that's a lot too. Is
That's
the
a big deal, what I just
cloak?
said.
Well, I was gonna say that's huge. Like, yeah, you do cloak your own desires. I would think almost like talk about like putting that cloak over that of like I'm going to minimize that, or I'm going to make it be more acceptable to who I, or it's going to have to be in my husband's this or my kids, like those things.
Yeah,
So
you're creating your life through somebody else's fears, through the veil of their
yeah.
fears.
And then also, yeah, that's huge when you begin to realize that. That's like a huge paradigm shift. Like to use like a Stephen Covey thing, paradigm shift. You know what I mean? Like when you begin to realize, even being aware that you are augmenting your world to fit somebody else's, does that really serve anyone? Does
If
that,
you're doing it and you're augmenting your world to fit somebody else's worldview that is not evolved,
then it definitely is not. Yeah. You're going to be devolving or whatever, or
yeah,
just going
because you
into it.
don't
You'll
want to
never.
take your, I'll never forget, I will never forget driving home from Asheville, North Carolina. It was the first time that I left the house from when we moved here. I hadn't been out we'd been here for 7 months. And I'm like, okay, I got to get out of the house. Like I literally didn't leave the house. Drove to Asheville, but I had this whole thing happen, this whole big event happen. But what it did, that I'll tell another time. But what it did was I realized during this time, I needed to cut out all the noise about what everyone else was saying and thinking and doing, what my boss wanted, my husband wanted, my child wanted, the wind, the blowing direction. Like what do I think? What do
Right.
I think? And it's not outside of me. Everybody, and that same day that this big, huge thing happened on the way home from Asheville, and I talked to my mom, and I was still reeling from it. It was like this near-death experience. And my mom is telling me about a prophet, Kim Clement or something. She's like, oh, Kim Clement, and this is in 2021, right? She's like saying, Kim Clement, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't care what Kim's saying. I go, there is no prophets. I go, I'm my own prophet.
Right.
I go, I'm my own. I'm listening to myself. And my mom goes in this nasty tone. She's like, who died and made you God?
All right. Oh yeah. And that's
And
the
you know
thing.
what
It's
my
like,
response was? It was so profound. I'm like, I did.
I did.
I
That's what I was going to
died.
say. I
I
died. Yeah.
died. Finally, all this noise of everything around me, I finally turned it off and turned
Just let it.
within.
It's like you let that facade drop. It's almost like we've all seen those, like when people like it's almost like having like a false shell, over yourself,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then just you begin to just break out of that and you're like, what am I doing? You know, and it's not selfish, you know, it's not, I think that's because we're told you're selfish. You should be doing this. It doesn't matter what you want. You need to do what everyone else wants. You need to do, you know, those are all the things that we put in our heads when we were little, and we killed off our desires, our words, our speaking what we thought, because nobody wants to hear that, you know, those things. And so then we start playing those tapes. And what does it do? We create into these things that we get caught into the trap, you know.
Well, and speaking about women, why? Why do they want to shut down the woman and yet they want to pretend to be us?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I
It's about,
just did a TikTok video. You know, I just did, you know, I just threw them together and I did a TikTok video. And one of them, it looks like I don't have pants on, but I do. But people, I had like, people, some people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you put that picture up there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I am a woman.
right.
And you are not going to push me down.
Right. Yeah. And it's
The minute a real woman is showing, and I wasn't being inappropriate, you know, but I don't hide being a woman. I don't, you know, wearing turtlenecks and like being all like, you know,
right.
all you've got these women or these people that sit there and are showing on social media, you know, showing bras, showing
Right.
whatever, like what do you call it? I don't know, shapewear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just showing shapewear and they're showing all their skin, they're hanging out. Like that's so like they don't have any dignity.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not their point of it is to sell this thing and so that you can consume
Right.
to
More things. Yeah. It's
consume.
not because yeah, there's
Not like I made this like everything I do. What my point is not for you guys to look at me like, ooh, wow. Well, it is almost like, what?
but that way they
You're
see that
doing
in
this? Like
themselves.
how?
Yeah.
Because this is what it does is people are like, what? How are you doing this? How are you having the guts to freaking be out here like this? Or how have you gotten to this point where you're, you know, feeling good, like feeling like this, but at the same time, they can tell that it's not about me trying to be, you know what I mean? It's not about me trying to, I'm not trying to sell underwear. I'm not trying to
Right.
sell anything.
Yeah.
I'm basically trying to say, look, the aging program is not going anymore.
Right.
Okay. They're lying to you. How
Mm-hmm.
is it that there is a woman, and I did this to prove it to everybody, and I am in the aesthetic beauty industry. I've been in it now for 40 years.
Right.
For 40 years. I'm 150 years old.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I've been in it forever and I've
Right.
been in all sides of it. And it is
Mm-hmm.
ugly. And this whole
Yeah.
thing about the makeup, when I started off in the late 90s, early 2000, MAC Cosmetics was all the
Mm-hmm.
rage. Every artist wanted to work for them. And now we find out that they were basically tricking all of us women because they weren't women and they wanted to trick us into getting
Right. Putting
used to having the basically
super
we
glam.
started looking
Yeah.
men started thinking women are supposed to look like men, you know, this
Right.
angular
Yeah.
face and like all
The
these different
jawline.
things. Yeah, putting chin in. Why would a woman put a chin implant?
Right. Forget the like, yeah, I know. It's interesting the way that it was like almost like you look back from like even that. I didn't even think about that, like the very avant-garde type of thing, like how they got it, you know, it's not that there's anything wrong with that inherently, but you can see how a lot of that programming, you know, is
The
put into
bronzing, the
oh, the
contouring.
contouring, right? All that. Yeah.
See, I mean, I still do a little contouring, but I do way less than I did. Like, I cannot, when I found out that some of those big makeup artists, there was one from, I don't know if this is right, but she was like from Denmark or from Norway
Hmm.
or one of those kind of places, Finland.
Right.
And, you know, it was like watching like when Tarte came, all this brands came out, whatever. I mean, I'm heavily in the industry, you know? So I was following her, and then come to find out, like, they came out because they started doing this whole agenda, letting this whole agenda out that, oh, that she's a guy, that she's a boy. And then I started seeing it. I'm like, I cannot believe that they have us sitting here, us women. Those men, they had to do all that contouring to try to get our face.
Get the face look. Yeah, that look. Yeah.
All the fillers that are making everyone's face, like, even though I did fillers and injectable, they're different.
It puts a cast on you. Like,
but
you
even
can
though
see.
I did it, I hardly did it compared to.
Right. When it goes, yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
even with the short time that I did it, and I did it kind of a lot in the short period of time that I was working in this derm's office, and I was awakening then. But that whole thing that you don't realize that your face, like, you're sitting here, like, I have these women like, oh, I would love to coach with you, but I can't afford it, right? Even though I have my freaking rates down, but they're spending, you're going to spend no less than $500, no less than $500
Yeah.
to get Botox.
Oh yeah.
And you're not telling your head, so you're going $500 for, let's say if you get a minimum, it's $10 to $15 a unit. We're getting 50 to 70 units.
Wow. Yeah.
So what is that? No, all of you women need to, let's just figure this out, because this is like, you need to see what you're consuming and see if that money, so let's just do it to $14 a unit, just
kind of in the middle. Yeah.
Interest. $14 times 70 units. Okay, so that's 980. So you get 70 units. So you're spending $1,000. That's no tip. And then you're going to get some lip filler in there. A syringe of lip, one syringe of lip filler is 600, I don't know now, but it was 600, is around $600. Okay, you guys are spending $500 to $2,000 every 3 months. And you're spending way more than that because you've got to get professional skincare.
Right. To keep it right.
Why would you not? And actually, I did find out a lot of people, I know this. I mean, I just worked it, that they will get all these fillers, but not get the expensive skincare, or not do the good skincare.
Right.
It's just so crazy.
Kind of waste
so we're talking about, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a year.
You could definitely.
That we as women are spending. And that is to cover our essence, to minimize our essence, to minimize our wild, to minimize who we are.
Or to look more like each other. You know, like they're talking about,
to minimize our wild.
They're all worried about their AI and clones. You look like them already when you're putting that stuff in your face.
Yeah, it's like your agent, your bot number 78197.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've got your Stepford wife going.
The factory, your factory set.
Factory number, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, there comes your synthetic self right there. You're buying right into that. Whether, it's like one of those things, I don't even think people are aware of that, and then when they all have that certain look.
But I know, I'm glad that I went through the process. I went through that process of getting fillers and all of that, and being in that world. And and then now I was getting the message back then and that's why I left the job. I was getting all this message of all this stuff about being organic and getting back to nature and being in alignment with nature. And that's how I feel best now.
Well, I'm sure that had to really mess with your mind when you're totally in that. And then you're like, wait, I'm waking up to something that's telling me this is not. I'm sure that was a huge thing for you, when especially you're in that industry and you're basically have thought this is what you.
Well, yeah, and I presented like I'm opening up a spa and I'm doing all this, but I always have, and that's why I got my healing, my holistic, I don't know
Mhm.
what it's called, the health healing
Right.
certificate
Right.
from IAN, because, well, actually, it was crazy when I started realizing that my quote looks or the vanity,
Mhm.
spending all my money and all my time to create some look that was actually just to mask
Interesting.
me feeling uncomfortable because
And then
I
it's
wasn't
not
allowed to
even
be myself.
right. Yeah. But it doesn't mean you have to either, like, just like you said, walk around in a burlap sack either. But, it's the same thing of coming from that space, from that, and then just not putting like, there's got to be something to why, like how it changes your face and that energy of your face. And especially like, you talk about
Well,
like
you're
different energy
paralyzing your muscles, you're
yeah, and
paralyzing your
your
expression.
ability to yeah, and react to things. But then also I'm sure we don't realize how much we have, like, we are bodies of energy and a creation, and we're blocking those things by injecting pharmaceuticals and different things. And then if they've gotten us taking pills, now they can get us putting it in our faces and then cutting parts of us off, and then augmenting this or that, and then putting fake nails on, and then I mean, just like
And
so
it's
many things. It's just
also that we're consuming.
it's yeah, and those are not even like, those are huge, but like even like think of like one level, of consumption that, just leads to others. You go from there and then you're in the
Well, yeah, it does. It's like today, if we would have chosen that, if we would have chosen to
yeah.
consume,
Hmm.
whether it's consume, like we're going to record on Tuesday, but I didn't choose to consume. It was me choosing that I needed to just chill and
Well,
relax
that's well,
so that
that's the
I
thing too.
wouldn't be crazy
Yeah,
on Thursday.
when you have to live, that's the thing too of like learning to pivot and listen to yourself when you have that, and then also know when is it the gremlin in your mind though either, you know what I mean? Like there's that
Well,
choice
that's
between,
true.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Is it the gremlin or do you really need to rest? And that's when, but as you
That is
listen
so
more and you're
true
more
that you're saying that.
authentic with, 'cause today I'm sure, I mean, I have the girl telling me, "Oh, you're really not," but I'm like, no, that's one of those things of knowing when you step into that and do it, versus my soul is tired. I know I need to take this time, there's,
Well, and that's why I
and I,
love the once you start, and we haven't really talked about it in this podcast. So if you're just hearing us for the first time, Monica does, I do frequency and sound scans. I'm just pulling up my aura right now because I want to see. Uh, but so now I am now so in tune to my physicality that I can tell when I'm spiritually been affected. But
right, when
now I
something's
can go
getting,
look in the
yeah,
software and look and see,
hmm,
you know,
like what's in there, right?
yeah. But see, we are totally connected with the spiritual because it's like on it's almost, you can't really tell in here, but that's almost solid, that's solid purple.
Oh, I
Like
see oh, it's, yeah, I can see
the
the,
middle is purple and
mm-hmm.
it looks kind of white, but it's actually violet.
Ooh, it's pretty though,
Yeah, but this needs to be more integrated more.
right? It's kind of not enough pulled together, right?
Yeah,
It's still a
there's
little,
not grounding. Well, and you can't tell on here, but at the top of here, kind of
mm-hmm.
at the top of here, it's all blurry. There's like something
Mm-hmm.
pulling on me, and I can
Ah,
feel it. I can feel it. But this is the stuff. So you don't have to have the software, but you can feel. You can feel when, and that's what we're going into. What I got to stop saying going into.
no, we
We are
are,
in
yeah,
it
it's right now,
now,
right?
where
We are in
you're
it,
100%, you're basing your life on and your decisions on how you feel,
right,
not
right.
on what you think, because your thoughts are not your thoughts.
Right. And then you have to realize too when they're not something that's doesn't make sense sometimes even. Like you can be, you've got one vibe going and then all of a sudden you got something random and then you realize that there's so much more out beyond us that can put, and that's when we can create and pull our power back, because when we don't, listen to those random, voices that don't make sense, with whatever else, you know.
Now,
what we're putting out
how has all this, because you have children, right?
there.
You have what child do you have that lives with you? Your son who's
My
13?
13-year-old Elijah. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is something now, it's like you got to tell them.
Right. And when then it's good. It's like, and when they hear you talking about this, it's like one of those things too, of like, I, don't like try and shove that on them, 'cause I feel like they've got their, like, again, like kind of like how we had, certain things even put on us as we were kids. I'm more of like my living my thing here, and even talking certain ways. It's like I am changing that experience for him, by me being more authentic, that way I'm
Yes.
not being, of saying you must do this, or this is how it is, with whatever. So it's definitely different than, how we were 20 years ago, from
Yeah,
things.
I was looking at so Nat, like she's so cute. I got these because I don't tell her anything like how to
Mhm.
be or like, oh, you're supposed to do this or oh, we do this in here
Right,
in
we
this
do it this way,
family
yeah.
or
Or like we
whatever.
don't dance, right? Or we don't do that,
Yeah.
or these things.
Like I
Yeah.
don't say anything and I'm living my life. That's something that I've changed as a mother with Natalie is my 6-year-old and then I have
Mhm.
the um a 16-year-old stepdaughter, a 28-year-old daughter, and a 25-year-old son.
Mhm.
The way I raised all three of those adult kids was I sacrificed everything of,
Who you were, yeah.
like who I was, got up at the crack of dawn, made the breakfast, made the thing, got the lunches, whatever. You guys know
Right.
all the stuff that we do that we wake up as
Supposed.
women go, oh, what am I supposed to do? Oh, all the women are driving Suburbans. I
I
want
need
a
a Suburban, yeah.
Suburban and I'm going to be mad at my husband because he's getting me a minivan, or whatever. Like
Right.
that's the kind of stupid stuff that we were doing. Well, I'm not doing that with Nat. And she said to me, I asked her on Thanksgiving, I think I said something like, what's one wish that you have or something about me that I would tell you or I would do? I don't know what it was. And she said something. She's like, oh, I wish that you would uh not be so busy. That's what she said.
Mhm.
And I said, what? Busy? Busy doing what? She goes, well, you're always doing something. You're always, and she started naming off. And I go, that is me living my life.
Yeah. It's not being, yeah.
That's me. I'm living my life creating experiences that I
You're
want
like,
to
these are
have.
fun. This is like your fun, like it's like your that thing. It's like not, yeah.
It's
And
not this
you're right.
thing of like, oh, I'm a mother, so I need to get up because, oh, Natalie's getting up around, oh, she gets up around 8 o'clock. Okay, I got to be up at 7 and get all
Make it
ready and make sure she has a nice warm breakfast. And I know she won't eat it, but I need to make
right,
sure that I do my job. So
right,
you know
right.
what? She
Yeah.
was up yesterday or today. I don't even know. I have no idea what day we're talking about. But in this last few days, she's up with these. I have these ice cream. They're frosted ice cream dishes, like for a
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Sunday. Yeah,
Hmm.
and I love them. And I saw them somewhere years ago. And I'm like, I want to have classic. I just love them. Well, Nat, she sees that I love them, and she knows I love them, and I put them out, and I go, oh, bring these out of the garage and put them up on the
Right.
shelf so you can see them. So she was up this morning or yesterday, I can't remember which. She made
Right.
a whole entire sundae. Okay, she had like 10 cherries on there. And it's like, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know what was in it. She had oranges in there, she had
Oh my
gelato in
gosh.
there, she had nuts in there, she had cherries in there, she had whatever
You
she
want
had.
it, right? Like
My
a
only criteria for her was that she actually eats her creations.
right, whatever she put in there, right? You gotta eat it. Yeah.
I didn't, the only thing I said to Derek was, I was like, well, I mean, she's eating all those cherries, and then she's not going to have any because I'm not going to keep on buying maraschino cherry. Like, she had a lot.
Oh yeah.
But in the past, and 20 years ago, that situation, one, it would have been like, we don't eat ice cream in the morning.
Oh
You
yeah.
know that.
Right. Yeah.
And that whole, and then the kids got to feel, what? Okay, we don't eat ice cream in the morning. Mom's
Right. Yeah.
mad.
Exactly.
And then this whole, instead of this like fun thing of seeing how what she's created and that she loves these dishes just like I do,
Right. Right.
you know, that's the memory now that I get to have of thinking about
Instead
her.
of her feeling shame about the fact that she wanted that, or not putting that cast over that,
Yeah.
again, like, yeah.
Yeah. Like yesterday, I was like posted into my story, um, on TikTok, a little clip of Thanksgiving because Natalie was hilarious. She was hilarious. I don't know if she was high on sugar or what, but she's sitting there laughing. And then Sonny comes up. He
I saw
jumps
you
on the
got up there.
table. He's like eating on my plate. I'm like, this. And I'm like, this is why I said it. Then I go, this is why we couldn't have my ex-husband here. Because he would
Freak out.
never, he would
Let the cat out.
freak out about
Yeah.
that. But it was
Oh yeah.
just like, I loved it that we were just like, whatever, the cats are
Right. Yeah.
here. And people know it too on TikTok. Like, I haven't gotten any response. Be like, oh my God, your cats
Right.
are. That's
Yeah.
part of the reason why I haven't gone live, like do my cooking live because I'm like, no, because everybody's going to say stuff like, oh, the cats are on here. And then every time I take the cat down, I got to wash my hands. Oh.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know what I
Not
mean?
worth
Like all this stuff that we're not doing because of what people are going to think.
Right. I know that's true. There's so many things that we don't do because yeah. And
So I'm
that's
just trying to push forward with the stuff I want to do. And then I'm seeing that people do like it. Like they like to see it. They like to see what you're doing and what you're up to,
right. Yeah. And just being, again, like, and just being who you are, and
You're
that's,
authentic.
and what you're, the, fractal that of that part of that. It's not to be like everyone else, and there's already plenty of copies out there. Do you really want to be another copy, of everyone else, even though others will, it makes them
You can't. The thing is that I've really been meditating on. You can't. That's why it's so hard to be like to keep up with the Joneses or to
yeah.
look like your neighbor or you think she's fit or whatever. And people say stuff to me like, "Oh, you must have it so easy." Oh, it's like, what are you saying?
Right.
No, what you're seeing that you like when you see somebody, it's that they're in their unique vibration.
Right.
They're in their unique essence and they're comfortable in their own skin. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that you want to have blonde hair and whatever, whatever it is.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not
Whatever
that
it
we
is.
all
Right.
want to have beige and white kitchens.
Right.
Just liked, I mean, think about the stuff that happened with those people from what are those people that made the farmhouses? Jump
Oh, like, yeah. You mean
the
the Joanna Gaines or whatever, those
the
people?
games. And then you've
Yeah.
heard that they turned out to be bad people.
Oh, did they? I haven't really paid much
Oh, you
attention.
didn't hear about the gains? Oh, this is big news. Breaking
Mhm.
news on Quantum New Earth Living. I'm serious. You're gonna see their show will go away.
I'm sure it probably would. Yeah. I mean, you can tell it's part of like a,
Their whole show was they sold their soul. It's a whole thing.
mm,
They're not really who they say they are, but the point of it is not to get into that. It's that they created this whole farmhouse, like
aesthetic. Yeah. That whole,
kind of
yeah.
aesthetic to get you to go. And this is
And
to
buy
show
more.
you how
Right.
they do this. You watch
Yeah.
HGTV, you want this so bad. You want this life. You want to create this life. And so then you go out to try to do it, but it's so expensive and not real. So then they create this junk at Target to give
Yep.
you the facade and the look of it.
Right.
So
Yep.
then you have it and you're like, "Ooh, this is the look of now. This is the look of now." And I bought all this stuff and wasted my husband's paycheck on spending it on
Right.
this Target haul of this
Right.
fake life that I'm not really living. Because I went out and actually created the real thing, the real
Right.
farmhouse, like
Yeah,
modern
not the
farmhouse living.
shiplap or whatever that they them and all their
Yeah, instead of putting shiplap, I did my own custom mural, which everybody's like, what? Be freaking painting a mural. Even my husband's like, what? You're gonna paint a mural on that big wall? That's gonna cost a fortune.
Yeah.
But look at from me creating, and this is like I've wanted to say this throughout the whole conversation. It gets brought up in my mind. How, by us going forward in our unique vibration,
Mhm.
look at all the lives that it's touched.
Like that ripple effect. Yeah. Right. It's true. I mean, like it changed my world, and even we haven't even gotten in the same room yet. Just wait till we do this.
I
It's
know.
like,
I mean, if I hadn't of if I hadn't, this goes all the way back to when I was like, I had this pressing in my heart that I was gonna have another child. And when I met Derek, I was like, no, my kids are grown, because my
yeah.
daughter, my 28-year-old, and that's one of the reasons why she doesn't speak to me, because she is mad that I had this baby and that she thinks I went
Yeah.
into some world where, went into a mommy world again. And it's like, no, no.
And then think about it. You could have bought into that and completely based your worldview off of what your daughter tells you. There's so many
And
people
that's
that
what
live
I was
their
just
life
going to
based on
say.
what their kids tell them. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then you have to realize just as much who they are is who they are, just as much as we are not reflections of, I mean, our parents should own one thing or the other about us. We are sovereign beings. I mean, they can't own my wins or losses, nor do I own my kids' wins or losses. They can't tell me how to live my life. Well, of course, your minor kids right now, you got to make sure they're safe, they do all that. But how when they get past the point and they want to express their creativity, or who they are, you can't.
I mean,
It's not
before
me.
we decided to create Nat, we saw a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
We made sure, like, asking everybody, like, is this going to be damaging to the kids and all this, like,
Right.
to
Right.
Derek's daughter,
Right.
and we did everything we could. And then people were still mad that we did this and said that's why why all the people that don't speak to me, including my precious
Mm-hmm.
friends that I'm sure they're going to be watching this, all my
Oh yeah.
friends in Washington, my ex-church people that
Oh yeah.
sat there and judged me, and that you guys have all sent me text messages telling me how weird I am now and all
Well,
of this.
and they're going to talk about it anyway. And that's the thing. I'm
That's what I
like,
mean. Like, they're mad because I'm no longer hanging out with them
mm-hmm.
and talking about what they want to talk about, or I can't take it anymore, and that's why I don't talk to anybody.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too, like when you start to express yourself, I think it awakens that in someone else that might make them uncomfortable. So if they don't want, that's why, and then you get to be 100% okay with the impermanence of those things. Do you know what I mean? You can't attach yourself to those attachments because that's what suffering. You know what I mean? Like the more of those things, like people are going to come and go, and if they don't, you can't choose to alter who you are just based on these people, because you have to fit into a certain, mold for them to be your friend. You know what I mean? Like to those church people or the people at work, or the certain people, they want you to fit a certain way and to talk a certain way and dress a certain way. And we do this on this day, or we do this on Black Friday, or we do this for Christmas, or we don't do this on Sundays, or like, and then like, you're like, and so many like shoulds and woulds and coulds that it's just like exhausting. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
but it
lay
is
down
scary when
and
you realize.
that's where you start to wake up and you start to crack out of that shell when you go, this is not even mine. If those things are what you truly, fine, great. But I guarantee you most people are only doing it because they're silencing whatever else that their
But
inner
the
voice.
silence, I think, because when you realize that it's just you, that feels, that's a lot. That's a lot.
You
That's
feel like,
what makes people want to like have a glass of wine, have a,
hmm,
eat food if that's a thing, go shopping, whatever. That feeling, because I have done it, and I'm like, even for me, I'm like, and I have
where
now
you build
gotten to
things.
the point in my life which I am like, whoa, Monica, I cannot believe this. Even though it's still, I'm a little bit like, but no, I'm there. Where if something happened, like right now, Derek's gone, right?
Hmm.
Derek's gone, Natalie's gone. If something happened to them and I got that phone call,
Right.
but, or just not even to be dramatic like that. Just what, Monica, can you, Allison, can you just, it's just you.
Right. Yeah.
It's just you.
And then are you, and that's the thing. So
What are you
like,
going to do in this moment right now?
when they talk again, like when you drop all of the shoulds, the woulds, the attachment, the world, like what, that's when you start to get into that real essence of the space beyond the ego that you put those things, like we talk about how we're just an expression of the divine in this thing. If we start to lose all that attachment to, I am this person and I do this and I have this and I have that, when you begin to let go and shed those things, that's where you begin to hear who you really are,
That's where
and
you
then
get
you,
to the I am. And that guy that we were talking about,
right.
uh, that RJ Spina,
Hmm.
he talks about you go, I don't know and I don't care.
Mm.
Like he says, you put yourself in that space of like nothing happened, nothing when you're making these decisions of um nothing's happened before, nothing happens after. So what do you decide? And
Right.
I don't know and I don't care. Meaning when you say the I don't care part, see, that's the part I was saying that like I've gotten to the point where it's like you're by your it's all up to you. I don't care. I can do it. I know I can get through this. I know that I will be okay.
Right. Yeah. When you, yeah, that's, and you said like, even like getting into that space, it's like being in that space of, what they call it, like conscious detachment almost from the
Yeah.
outcome. Because that's where, um, you don't have, you're not clawing at things. It's almost like,
Yeah, and the I don't know part is is taking the belief your all of your subconscious. I mean, your
mhm,
subconscious is just a it's just a connection of your beliefs put together, a coherent connection of your beliefs
mhm,
are your subconscious mind like kind of lacing together thoughts that are not your
right.
own.
Mm,
Okay, because in 0 to 7, we're just walking around. Everything our mom said, everything our dad said, everything society said, which just gets put in there, and then we draw from that when we make our decisions. Like, oh, I'm turning 18. Oh, I'm supposed to go to college.
right. Oh, I need to. Yeah.
Oh, you're applying for college, and then all the moms are like, "Oh, my son, he's applied for six
Mhm,
colleges, and ooh, he got
mhm,
into this one. Oh, what's your son doing?"
mhm. Oh, yeah.
You know, when I made the decision to not go to college right away because I wanted to do what actually I wanted to take classes on stuff I cared about,
Right.
everybody's just like, mm.
Nice. Yeah, I remember the first time I went to college, I didn't even really want to go. And I just went because that's what you did. And that's again, like how many things in my life I did just because that's what everybody else said you needed to do.
Yeah, because it's
Like how,
like
like,
you're just
I'm like,
following, you don't know what your own thoughts are because
even know
they were
what
stripped
who
from you.
I was because it was so much what other people had told me. I'm still figuring that.
Yes,
Do you know
I
what I mean? Because I
yes.
literally became a chameleon of whatever other people had told me, of that. And it's just like, it's amazing, like how you got to begin to really think, like, what do you want? It's like when somebody, like even got for a while, like, I couldn't, when somebody would ask me like what I wanted to go out to eat, I couldn't even figure that out. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I would be worried about what they were thinking or what, what I mean? Like how silly, like,
Or it
to
was
spend
like,
life.
or remember, like I don't drink, as far as like
Mm-hmm.
regularly drink.
Right.
But when I first started going out as a young girl with my husband, and he was 10 years older than me, I would like, well, what am I supposed to drink?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I remember we were at the Hilton at this rooftop bar in Washington, and I had ordered whatever wine I decided to order. And I felt dumb doing it, but I was just trying to be cool, you know?
Right.
Well, I ordered the wrong wine for the fish that I'd ordered. Ooh.
Right.
And because I was supposed to order
Mhm.
a white wine to go with
Oh,
this fish,
isn't
right?
that funny when you think about it? I'm like,
It's outrageous. And at the time, because at the time, you know, I was a new wine drinker and I didn't even want to drink the wine, but I was trying to be cool and whatever. My husband's 10 years older and just trying to fit into that world.
right.
And he said in front of the waiter, like I ordered and whatever. And then after everybody ordered, he said to the waiter, she'll have the, you know, let's just say Pinot Noir because she's ordering the salmon. And so she needs to
Oh,
have
like
the
you
white
changed your
wine.
order. Yeah.
Like he, in front of like made me look like it. I was so embarrassed.
Oh, right. Yeah. You're like, yeah.
Remember being 20, like you're 21, like whatever. I mean,
Mhm.
but I didn't need to feel embarrassed. I didn't need to feel less than, right? But
No,
the
no, I was
person
the
that
same.
I was with knew that that would because they didn't feel good about themselves.
Right.
This whole arrogance, like, you know, that whole arrogance about knowing about wine.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's very much. Yeah.
It's so stupid. And that was big then. You know, we're talking 25 years ago.
Right. Right.
Now I just feel like people freaking do
Drink
what
whatever
they
they
want.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just an example of like me trying to fit in, me not being myself. And basically, I created my kids the way my kids are, which is some of it was good, but it was just based on what I thought I had to do
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
instead of
Some of
what I
those should.
wanted to do.
Hmm.
But at the same time, so getting through this, so then that brings up, or it's bringing up for me, this time of changing of how do we get through these energies? We're with somebody, our partner, whatever. It doesn't matter, married, however it works, because everybody's in different things. But your
Right.
partner, whoever you're living with, they're doing
Hmm.
things in more of a denser manner, you
Hmm.
know? They're not really of that highlight. And it's not saying that to be
Like in a judgy way. Yeah.
rude. It's just everybody is good. Everybody's going to be at
Right.
every
In their
level.
own.
It's
Right.
just at different times of ascension. But how do we, with our kids and all that, it's just because
Have some real. Yeah.
I want people to have some tangible things and to know that it's okay that you working on your own self and not doing what you think you're supposed to be doing because
Hmm.
even for your kid where we let our kids we did all this for our kids and then how many of you guys your kids aren't talking to you, they're doing their own
Or they
thing,
just, yeah, do
they're
whatever they
telling
want.
you no
No, I'm
mom,
not
no
doing that.
dad, I'm
Yeah.
not living here, I want to go do this. Well, you need
Right.
to do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the thing. It's like, thanks, guys. Thanks. I always tell people I'm embracing my inner millennial now.
Yeah.
I'm learning from that whole thing of like so much of our lives were just so much, like you said, so many things. But again, like neither one of us are like it that I don't think either I've not met the precipice of anything. I mean, it's like but I find like when I'm in those around people like that, it's like again, just it's little conversations and putting little things. It's like even my husband's like gotten into now, like we talk about these things. Like I just even bring up things. It's like I don't feel like, but this is the way it is because that's what is that going to do? It's like again, like just bringing up things of like being like, well, what do you think about this? Or I'm curious about this. Like even just bringing up little things and that really again somebody has to come to those decisions on their own. It's not being manipulative, it's just because I don't
No,
want to throw it on them. I don't want to body slam
well, and also
somebody
you're
into.
not coming up with how it is. You're trying to talk to just get the inner, like, what are you thinking about
Exactly.
this? I'm thinking
From
this,
your,
you know.
yeah, and just knowing that he's he or she or whatever that person you're talking with is everybody's on their own like journey that way, and it's just at least I feel like I'm more accepted in my own home here with those, the people, realizing that's just, who I am. And then that's just my mindset. But it's like, when you go, and expressing that into the world, like even in the workplace and different things. Well, I know I'm like what do they call it? Like a square peg in a round hole, like trying to shove myself into that. And that's why I'm embracing that this is not where I belong. I am leaving this, but there's a reason why I'm here right now. And I'm just going to express myself. It's who I am right now and drive everyone crazy around me, which is totally fine because that's what I'm here is to irritate you sometimes, you know what I mean? And that's because I'm no longer going to shut up and just be who you told me to be, and so it's good for me.
That's what will, for people listening, you will find once you start not assuming your role that you've had for, people 30 years, whatever, that starts rustling up feathers because it's like, what? I mean, that's why my mom doesn't talk to me. I haven't done anything. I'm not a boomer or a Gen Xer that's totally oblivious.
No, and it's not that you have to do that. It's just also like they have a certain role expectation, especially certain family members of like how you are supposed to be. And when you don't fit those things, it's almost like sometimes you have to just be like, I'm done with that. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't.
Well, that's why I'm sitting at Thanksgiving with just me and my husband, because it's like people, they don't want to be around you unless you fit into your roles. I'm no longer. So we're creating in our group, the reality shifters, we're a group of people that we're like, nobody's the same in our group, but none of us sit there. Like I no longer, and in the past we all did this where we're like, do we want to hang out with these people? Like we kind of based it on like the car they drove or where they kind of lived or what they were or maybe what religion they were. Now I'm like, I don't even see their clothes or their age or anything. I'm just seeing their soul of like, if their soul is seeing this higher timeline is like, oh my gosh.
And then choosing like,
then that's what I like talking about and being about, because that's moving the needle.
I was gonna say, and that's like micro. And as everybody is expressing themselves, it's like that kind of is giving, as you express yourself, you're giving more. Like by us talking and being who we are and putting this out there, it's like giving others, not giving them permission, but also saying, hey, they're doing it. Why am I not? Like, why aren't you talking? Like, if you've got something to say, do the same thing. Start talking, like make TikTok videos or make YouTube videos.
If you want to have a podcast or TikToks or anything,
and
you should do it and but don't get caught up in. This is why I started off on TikTok, and this is why I still do TikToks the way I do them, where I just turn the video on because I just want to tell you guys something. It's not about me trying to sell something or trying to show you what I purchased, so that my video will go viral. So it's like, if you want to share we want to hear everybody's story.
Right.
And you just don't want to get caught up. And I do it too, we were talking about before, where I'm like, well, is no one listening to our podcast? Then what's the point of even doing it? But it's like, you guys have to know that it's going to be there every day. Because how many times do you listen to somebody and then finally they become like a regular? It takes a long time.
It takes a while to build that. And that's the thing. You have to be consistent, and then you have to be authentic, and again, just putting that out there. Like we talked about earlier, I'm not responsible for the outcome. I'm just responsible to put that out there. And then it's going to be organically spreading through that. This is information.
We're just creating. We don't have to worry about who's consuming us.
Create. You know what I mean? That's the thing. If we want to create this, we are creating the new reality. We are creating this timeline of what we just, I want to, I think is just empowering. This empowers me to open my mouth even more of doing this. This is outside of my comfort zone. So I'm changing those things of trying to get that about myself. I've even found that I'm even like interacting with people a little differently because I know that I'm finally doing what I've said that I've wanted to do for so long, which is I know I've got something.
That gives you confidence too, doesn't it?
And that's the thing. It's like, it's not about who's listening or not, but it's like, you know what? I always say, I'm like, and everybody starts somewhere and everybody was a beginner. Do you know what I mean? And nobody just woke up one day and was this, you know what I mean? Like it's just, again, like putting that there and move, like we said, just got to get, don't go and do one thing one time and then all of a sudden your next, it's going to be,
Because you don't want to say 3 years from now. You don't want to
no, what I
say,
should have done.
I wish
Yeah.
I would have, I wish I would, you know what? And I had been going around for I mean, I always do what I say, but I was trying to get my adult children to do this. I'm like, you guys, like my son, I'm still trying to, because my son, he has so much to offer.
Right.
And the fact that he's 6'9", he's almost 6'10", and he's funny. He's
Right.
funny. He like, whatever. He needs to do this creation thing, but he's like still thinking I'm going to be in the 3D, like get a 9 to 5 type job.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Because of the time that it takes, like to get in between, and here I'm thinking, I'm so excited that I'm like, I'm so glad that I spent this time, these last 3 years, because I want to go into 25, 26, 27, where I'm going around, traveling around.
Right. Creating
But I
that.
wanted
Yeah.
to have an audience to listen and to be there for my traveling. This is literally something I
Right.
wanted. I was like, I want people to know about this new way, and I want to go around and talk to people about it while I'm at the different locations.
And
And it's
just
like,
seeing that
okay,
about
but how
having,
are you going to do that, Monica? Like, okay, well, you're going to start making TikTok. I mean,
right.
it was really like, oh, I went and I actually have my old original YouTubes. I didn't even know that were on there when I first started sitting there. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, hi, everybody. But I'm so glad that I did that. So, like you
Yeah.
say,
Because
like I talk to people now, like when I'm out, because I'm like, don't you love it that you can say, like, oh, yeah, I have a podcast and we're talking
right.
about this and here, and you can send it to them
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's just something,
instead of
and then
saying,
have,
I'm going to create one, or
and it's like you
I've
said,
got this idea.
yeah, like you're
Cool.
doing it. They're actually like doing it now. So that's where the exciting comes in, and we're doing it. And it's just giving ourselves, again, this is just so much more about just helping shift our own stuff. I mean, like,
It
and great, we're not,
is. We're
not
living what we're doing what we're talking about all of this. We're
and
living
this is
out
what
loud. We're living
exactly
out loud. We don't have all the answers.
right. And that's the thing. It's like we're just, and just have, I want to, it's like almost again, like we talked about wanting to show this, like our goals align this way, but they come from different places. But it's also the goal of like this being like who, I've always had that, especially there's no reason why something doesn't keep coming to you if it's not what you're on your path. You know what I mean? Like there's no
Yeah, it's
reason why
definitely on your life
it would
path.
keep be going at me for so long. And then like when you're not doing that, that's when you get depressed or you have anxiety or you eat or you drink, you do all those
Yeah.
different things to silence that. But then once you start doing those things, and that's why I'm hoping that through this, we give others, men, women, kids, adults, old people, young people. I mean, there's like people in their 70s starting this stuff, which is amazing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got
Like,
like a big group of people that they're in their 70s, but it doesn't matter. When I see
no,
people on Facebook in comments saying like, oh, my couch is here. Yay.
oh,
So
you should wrap it up, and then later we should show it next. You should do it from your
I
couch
know.
next
Well, we
time.
probably will, because it'll get noisy here in a minute. But
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say we gotta wrap it up for that. Good timing though.
I know.
But
Perfect timing, guys. See?
arrived. The couch has arrived, right?
But yeah, so this is what this week's podcast. So today is Friday, is a little bit of a wonky week, and a lot of you guys are asking me, texting me, emailing, so excited about the podcast, which Allison doesn't know that. But we are going to do this. I think that we're going to record. I'm saying this to Allison right here on the fly. It's how we create. But I'm
Mhm.
thinking what seems to be working in terms of just the other stuff that I'm doing, coaching clients and them booking, and just the different things that we want to do. And I also know you guys want me to go live on TikTok more and YouTube, which we're going to go live on YouTube as well. But we're going to
Mhm.
record our podcasts on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm thinking.
Mhm. Oh.
Like twice a
Mhm.
week. And then we want to go live, like maybe one day a week, or at least I will,
Mhm. Right.
because we're kind of doing this. We're kind of doing this where Allison is still, she's probably closer to where you guys are at that are listening to the podcast. See, there's the
Mhm.
barking and all that that's going to start. But
Oh, yeah.
she's probably closer to all of that because she's just getting out of it. She's still working in kind of the matrix. I've been out of like the job matrix and made a
For a while. Yeah.
permanent decision about, I need to know exactly, but I'm going to say about 7 years ago.
Mhm. Right.
But it's taken me, I know where I was at when I was where Allison was at. And
Right.
it's like a little bit of a process. So we love working this out in front of you because she's able to work her journey out. And then I'm kind of like helping her solidify that because I've been through it myself.
when it helps like build that more. It's like you put more momentum towards that. You know, it's like you
Yeah.
don't run a marathon by just the first day. You know, that's the thing. You got
Well,
to
and I
train.
say that yesterday, Derek, I'm like, we're running a marathon, not a sprint,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
but that being said, we
Consistency.
are whatever you want to say, whatever religion, every religion
Mhm.
talks about this end time that we're at, where the frequency of
Mhm.
the planet's changing, and now we're creating, we're not consuming anymore. And
Right.
you don't need to fall in the trap of you got to have all this media out. You got to all do all this. If you have something to say, just create. I think TikTok's the easiest way to do it. Just make a
Mhm.
video, put it out there, and don't pay attention to whether anyone likes it or not. And
Right.
you
Right.
just set a consistency, and then
Mhm.
but all of us. So even though you don't may not realize this listening to it, but this is a new group of people. This is the law of one. This is a unity consciousness. This people are going to the East Gate, which you
Right.
don't know what that means, but
Yeah.
some of you do. But and I realized that's what we're set apart, but everybody can jump onto this right now. And it is
Exactly.
a higher level of consciousness, which is all of us electromagnetic beings that are
Right.
together,
Right.
that are moving through space into this new shift, and we're gonna have this whole new world. So I'm gonna leave it to that because that's like, what are you talking
There
about,
you go.
Monica?
Right there. Just put it there. Right there. You go.
Put
Start
in
with
the
that.
comments what you think, what you're excited about seeing in this new world. We're talking about, now we can say it, the galactics, we're going to be meeting them. We're going to be
Mhm.
meeting extraterrestrials. What does that mean for
There's
our life?
nice
What
stuff.
does that mean for our creation? I know
What
Allison's
does that
excited
mean?
about that.
Right.
Those are the
There you go.
conversations that we want to talk about, being a quantum wife, being a quantum mother.
Right. Quantum beings. All of those
Yes, and
things.
what does that mean? It's my favorite subject. And now I've got Natalie creating it, and it's like she's
That's.
becoming this
I love.
quantum kit. So that's what our podcast is about and what we're going to be talking about, and we're going to be doing it consistently.
And then I think it's going to be again like just showing like what does that look like and showing that and going through these organic ideas and things and just I think it'll be some new exciting things coming out with that. So
Yeah, it's just, and it's bringing in what you guys are going through, and us. We're not putting on a facade. We're showing you we're going through this too, and this is what's worked for us, and this is what's happened through us doing this and doing that. And I feel like
right.
I've cracked the code. I know
Mhm.
how this works, and now I'm bringing you all of the coding, and you just follow
Yay.
it. You just follow it. It works. Look at my dogs. Everybody's like,
I
"Mom,
see him. He's like, "Come on, get out here, mom."
yeah,
Right.
come to the sofa." Okay,
Right.
you
Yeah.
guys.
Yay.
Well, thank you for joining us on Quantum Living, and we
Yay.
will see you next week. We got
Yes.
Allison Skinner, Monica Anderson, Quantum Living Podcast. We are on Apple, Spotify, iHeart,
YouTube.
YouTube,
Right,
which I
all that.
really want you guys check me out on YouTube because we need to get our followers
Gotta get
up.
that up so we can get right so we
Yeah,
can do some more
and
stuff.
I'm on X. I'm doing stuff, but I'm doing with this is all kind of going as I feel it, but we're going to be
Right.
doing more and more and more as
Right.
we expand. We're going to be doing more. So just check us out, look for us, and I've got my shop. Everything is encompassing this so you can encompass this lifestyle. But then don't be
Yay.
shy, leave comments, connect with us.
Right.
That's what we're doing. We're trying to find everybody that's out there to let them know that we're out
Uh-huh.
there.
Right.
And we're here to be your friend and support you. Unity consciousness is our favorite.
Exactly. All right. Well, have fun
Okay,
with your
take care.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Okay.